going on, everybody? So today I have here my full flight sim setup that I've built over the years. I started building this probably around 2006, 7-ish with just a standard Saitek Pro yoke and a Saitek Pro pedals. But over the years I've kind of grown it bigger and bigger as I saw a need to help me learn how to fly. Primarily, most of it has come within the last, I would say, probably 3 years. Last year I started flying, or started training for my private, and I really sat down and tried to figure out what all I needed to help me practice my private pilot maneuvers once I got home after a training session with my CFI. So today, hopefully I can kind of show you my setup, tell you what all I have, and in another video I can kind of go over everything that I would say that you don't necessarily have to have. But if you want to just see what all is out there and what you can do with a flight sim setup, this is pretty much it. There's other companies out there that make even more than this, but mainly I wanted my setup to be functional. I didn't want any aesthetics. I just wanted mainly functionality, so that way I could take it from my real flight training to home and practice what I need. Currently I'm using this for my instrument rating, and I'm combining it with Pilot Edge to help with the ATC transmission. So let's get started. I'm going to show you from left to right on my setup, and we kind of go over everything. One thing that's not pictured in this video are my flight pedals. They are from Saitek, and they are the Cessna Rudder pedals. So I like those better than the Pros. It's got a better feel. I fly Warriors, I fly Cessnas, and I've flown a Grumman Tiger. And the Saitek Cessna pedals feel very similar to the Warrior and the Cessna plane. So let's get started and start from left to right. So on the left here, I have what you can consider, it's a Saitek radio stack, but I use it for the DMEs and I use it for my transponder. So in the Warrior that I fly, it has a transponder on the left. So I use this to set my transponder or my squawk. On below that I have a very nice small keyboard that takes up very little real estate on your desk. I did have a bigger keyboard. It took up a lot of room. So I got a smaller keyboard, very easy to set under your radio panel or on top of your TPM. But mainly I keep it kind of staged off here just to change the up and down view mainly, because I still have other functionalities within the FIPS that we'll get to in a second. From here we have the switch panel. The switch panel has your mags, your master on, your avionics, lights, pitot tube heat, all that you would normally flip inside a cockpit to get ready for your startup procedure. If you are working with planes that have landing gear, it's a great functionality to be able to flip up and down a landing gear. Now, you don't necessarily have to have that. I kind of get into that in the next video, but again, it's nice to have. Next I have here is the Ssx Dual. Ssx Dual is a USB sound card that I use to transmit into Pilot Edge, and I use to receive audio from the sim and also audio from Pilot Edge from ATC. I also have actually used this in a training session with one of my friends. He came over and we did an instrument flight on the West Coast, and he was able to learn some of the things that I say on a instrument flight and kind of take notes. So not only is this good for just me, but it's also if you want somebody just to sit in on your sim and be able to listen in and take notes, it's great for them to sit in too and talk back and forth. Next we have the yoke. Now, this is a Saitek Cessna yoke, which gives you full 180 degrees for your travel. Next I have the Garmin GPSMaps 295. This is an older unit. This is a real Garmin GPSMaps 295. It fully integrates into X-Plane, where X-Plane sends out data to whatever COM port you set up onto the GPSMaps 295 within FSX. So great utility if you don't have a Garmin 430 or 530 Realsim gear that I'm going to get to in a little bit. To kind of go back over the Cessna yoke, I like this one better than the Pro. The Pro just gives you about a 45 degree on both sides, but either way, get a yoke if you're going to be flying with a yoke plane. If you're going to be flying a conventional plane with a stick and rudder, then you can just get just a regular Saitek control. From here, we have my 6-pack and my VOR1, VOR2, and then the RPM. I use this for IFR training or instrument training. We have my airspeed, attitude indicator, my altitude, your turn coordinator, your heading indicator, vertical speed indicator, again your VOR1, VOR2, and your RPM. Now I did have to do some finagling with the XML files to get these to work perfectly with all the planes within FSX, but they transmit and receive perfectly based off what X plane is sending as far as data refs to the sim. So I'm picking that up with all of these. Next we have our Annunciator Panel, or what Saitek calls as the BIP, Backlight Instrument Panel. This is great for if you want to enunciate like your oil pressure, your master on, master off, gear up and gear down, parking brakes, making sure you have COM 1 or COM 2 set. It's a great feature. I definitely like it. Next we have on this side is our Garmin 530, 430, and my radio stack here. So at the top we have the Realsim gear 530. I don't currently utilize this other than just reference or point of reference where I'm at within wherever the sim is at. But once I do start flying planes and have a 530, 430 combo stack, I will have more interaction with it, so I can be able to jump in that plane and not have to get a lot of training on it and waste time in the air having the CFI kind of explain it to me, or spending more time on a sim. The Realsim gear 430, great addition. I have this in the Warrior 2 that I fly, and the 430 is a great addition. I currently use this for my instrument rating. It gives me a lot of practice to be able to jump in the plane and be able to quickly add in my flight plan, quickly add in my procedures, quickly clear out something within the flight plan, or do a quick direct to, or just finding what I need. These are two great additions that you can add to your sim that, no, they may not be cheap, but with just a few hours of real flight time, they pretty much pay for themselves. Here I have, and also real quick, the 430 is on COM 1, so I use this as my COM 1. This is not set to anything right now. And then here at the bottom I have my COM 2. This is a Saitek regular radio stack or radio panel, and I have it set to COM 1, and this is set to nav 2. So on the bottom here I have my heading indicator, which is connected to the autopilot, so I can do heading indicator, indicated airspeed, vertical speed, hold altitude, but pretty much all I use this for is autopilot. The only other thing that I use on this panel, or multi-panel as they call it, Saitek multi-panel, is the flaps up, flaps down. That's it. Great addition. I don't use it that much because I want to try to learn how to hand fly more than I do autopilot. Hand flying keeps you proficient. The next thing I have is a small mouse, and the small mouse takes up, again, very little real estate. So I can use the TPM, the top of the TPM, as a mouse pad. So great accessibility. The next thing I have is the TPM, or the Saitek TPM, which they call the throttle prop mix. So you have your throttle, your prop, and then your mixture. And then you can program these into any gauge that you want. Currently I have these flipped for COM 1, COM 2 if I want to activate it on the panel. So just say, for example, I wanted to tune in the ADIS on COM 2 on my stack, and I just want to flip that up. Then I activate COM 2 and I switch it over from standby to active, and then allow me to listen to the ADIS at the airport. Great feature. So you don't have to actually go into the sim and actually click on the button that's on the panel that says COM2. So you can just flip this and you're flipping COM2. Again, you can program these for any other thing. Lastly, this is not functional. It's only there for just to build up my motor skills, my hand-eye coordination. But you can plug this into your sim and have it actually send data to it, or not data, or an action to it. This is for car repeat. So when I was first learning the Cessna, I picked this up and I got it to kind of go through my full flow for pretty much takeoff and landings, or mainly landings. So you pull your car repeat, and then you pull your throttle out of the green, and then you just go through the rest of your flow. So that's the reason why I got that, because I was missing that when I was coming back from training. I was missing the car repeat, so I got the car repeat to utilize that functionality. Next, we have the Cessna trim wheel. This is a great addition. If you can find this, this would be great to have. This allows you to trim the plane out. A lot of people don't learn to trim the plane when they're flying, nor does some CFIs really emphasize trimming the plane out. You want to make it to where your hand is not fighting the yoke to fly the plane. So utilize this to trim it out and let the plane fly itself. Again, this is a Saitek product. They don't sell it anymore, but if you can find it, great addition. Here, the last two things that I have are the Saitek quadrants. One is a USB quadrant, and the other one is I think a PS2 that connects into the back of the yoke. But again, this allows you to utilize multiple engines, and that's the reason why I have two. Because at some point, I want to start utilizing or training for my multi-engine rating. So currently, I only utilize these two with the Warrior and the Cessna, or I don't use it with the Cessna. I use the TPM for the Cessna. But for the Warrior that I fly, I use the throttle and I use the mix. But I do have a 310 that I downloaded for X-Plane, and I use all these for both engines. The only thing that I cannot simulate with the multi-engine is the multi-mags and the multi-switch panel, because I only have one. So I have to go in and manually activate the mags on left and right, activate the fuel pumps on left and right, and then turn the ignition for left and right on both of those. But other than that, this is my setup. This is what I use, and I've been using for the last, I would say again, about 12 years to kind of get myself acclimated to flying. Again, you don't have to get all this to learn how to fly or to take advantage of the lessons that you have from your flight training, but I will try to go over another video of the needs and haves that you can, the things you can do with and do without with the sim setup. But hopefully I kind of answered a lot of questions, or at least showed people, hey, this is what my sim could look like. Again, this is not for aesthetics. Everything I have is functionality. So if you say, hey, why don't you have three screens wrapped around, or why don't you have a nice a dash panel, or that's not going to provide me with anything functionally that's going to help me learn how to fly. I'm just pretty much wasting money on aesthetics. And again, what I want to focus on is functionality. The only other thing that I would add to this sim setup is a magnetic compass. And the only reason why I have not purchased that is because I don't see the benefit of buying it, because I could easily, if we can kind of show you real quick, I could easily, in the sim, set myself up to where I have the view exactly how it would be inside my cockpit, and have the magnetic compass sitting off to the right. But that's the only thing that I would say I don't have with this sim, is a magnetic compass. Do you need it? No. Do you want it? Probably yes. But I would say stray away from it, because you can use the one that's in the sim and still keep everything else out of view if you have a Saitek 6-pack or the FIPS as they call it, flying instrument panels. But again, this is my setup. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Leave a review on what you think about the setup, or again, if you have any questions, please just comment below, and I will have a follow-up video on the things that I would or would not get for a flight sim setup for somebody who wants to be on a budget, or somebody that does not have a budget but just doesn't want to spend the money for it. One thing I will say, this does look like it costs a lot, but I've built it over the last about 12 years, and I really was nitpicky on what I want to pay for everything up here. So again, if you have any questions, please give me a comment below. I will answer to the best of my ability. Other than that, I'll see you next time.